Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 Truck podcast. Here's your host, Ronnie Welch.
What up, what up? Happy Monday, guys. Spring break around these parts and just enjoying some Phoenix weather. I thought I would put out a quick recording, the last recording I have with Paul, Mr. Paul Hitch, episode 126 and 137, my buddy. I come to know Paul over the last year, just interviewing him for the podcast and finding out what a great man he really was. And sad to find out that he passed on Saturday. I had emailed him, I think midweek, just saying, hey, hope you had a good birthday and checking in. And then his son, Doug, who was a co-guest on 126, emailed me back and said, Ronnie, unfortunately, my dad passed away on Saturday. I think that's the 7th. Yeah, the 7th. I think his birthday was on the 3rd. So I've seen that quite a bit in my line of work where somebody will make it to a birthday, a holiday. So good for Paul. He made it through 103, and what an amazing man. I know you can hear it when you listen to his interviews. Such a brilliant man, such a caring man, and somebody who was definitely a GM man and loved being a Chevy truck builder, loved working for General Motors, Chevrolet, loyal, and it's just an awesome story. And I, again, maybe because of my job, I don't look at death quite as sadly. I look at it, especially in Paul's case, as just an amazing journey, an amazing life, an amazing, celebration of who he was. I'm so glad that we were able to connect with him and kind of get some information from him, but also allow him to relive some of that and just be happy. And I don't know that, he's rejoicing, but he enjoyed it and he enjoyed our conversations. So I really appreciate that we were able to do that and bring that to you. I think that's really a cool thing. I would like to thank Maryland Mitch. Mosif, you know who you are. You're the initial guy who kind of made that happen and then said, hey, this is this guy. And then I kind of did a little bit of the legwork and made it happen. And that wouldn't happen without Mitch. So thanks, Maryland Mitch, for making that happen. 103. What an amazing journey. He's, the cool thing about this is, with his wife, reconnected, however you look at life and where he's at and what he's doing. But his time here with us on this earth was nothing but spectacular, nothing but great. And he had really good health. If you think about it, when you're over 100 years old and you can be emailing and Skyping and you're only taking a few meds, that's pretty legendary. So let's just get to it. I recorded, and when I would talk to Paul, I would record our conversations. If he dropped something, especially a C10 thing or something that would pertain to C10 Talk and that you guys would want to hear. But this one's more of us just catching up, just kind of looking over my notes, what I wrote. 126 and 137 is Paul. He does allude to talking with Eric. Eric is Eric Stanchek. He was my guest on 125. He's the guy who went and sat down with Paul and did a little video with Paul that works for Chevrolet. So he kind of talks a little bit about that in our conversation. We talk a little bit about Kirk Douglas because Kirk was 103 right before Paul, a few months before Paul. Now, Kirk Douglas has since passed. It looks like he passed in February. There's an area where the recording I don't even know if it just stopped or whatever the hell happened, but right around the 6-minute mark. And Paul is talking about being allergic to fish. And I'm assuming to fill in the blanks on the conversation that it jumps is him. I probably ask him if he has an EpiPen. And there is a student, she's no longer at the high school that my fire station covers, but she was getting EpiPens. I think they said she got 26 in 1 year. And they never could really figure it out. But I was like, damn, this girl's allergic to school. When we would get there, the nurse would usually have given one EpiPen, and then the student would have given one. So the irony of that is this high school is old school, and it's been around forever. And I'm pretty sure that Paul's daughter-in-law went to this high school. So that's where it kind of picks up, because she's from the town that I work in, or the city that I work in. And she's obviously married to Paul's son, Doug. So that's kind of what happens there, where EpiPen, this girl we run on, and I believe happens to be the same high school as his daughter-in-law. That's what I can think of when I did it. I just thought you guys might like this last conversation, and just kind of remembering Paul and what a great man he was. I think, I did just post on Instagram, social media, his funeral announcement stuff. It's going to be a private celebration. So let's respect that. And if you want to send some flowers, I just said, go buy a truck part and get your old truck, get your old girl, get your car, whatever it is, get it out on the road and then just enjoy the shit. And, out of that, because Paul would love that. He would love that you're driving your old truck around, and he loved trucks. He loved Chevrolet, and he enjoyed, sitting down and hacking it up with us and, getting it out to you guys in the world of C10s. And it was crazy. I remember saying one time to him that there was a C10 builder's guide, and he's like, what? And I sent him the magazine, and, he enjoyed it. And, I just don't think he thought, man, this is crazy that these trucks are still on the road today. And there's that much of a, fan base and fanatics out there that love it the way that we do. And obviously, hell, I reached out to him about a podcast the first time. He was kind of like, what? The first time I called him, he picked up. It was amazing. So if you guys have other guests like that you'd like me to interview, just, fire it off. Let me know, Ronnie at C10 Talk. I'll do the legwork and try to make it happen. The next episode, I have one that's supposed to drop tomorrow. It is really, really nice here today, and I just got off work, and I want to go hang out with the kids, do some bike riding and spring break stuff. So I don't know if it'll drop tomorrow, but if not, it'll drop Wednesday. So that's going to be Zach Delbridge, and his Instagram is @the_hot_rod_hobo, and he just won the King of the Yard over there at Hoonigan at the Burn Yard. I did do a little post of him doing some burnouts and posted up his 62 long bed stepper, but that's going to be next guest, the_hot_rod_hobo. After that, we have a few more lined up. So I have a guy by the name of Ryan Brutt. He is at the Auto Archaeologist, and I would highly recommend you dive over into that page. So at the Auto Archaeologist, and check out his page. Not super C10 specific, but a ton of just cool barn find stuff. He's also an author. He's written a few books on barn finds and some of the stuff that he is able to dig up and uncover along the journey. So check out his Instagram, check out his social media. Ryan Brutt, Brutt, Ryan Brutt at the Auto Archaeologist. All right, guys, have a great week, and I'll be back later with Zach, and I hope you enjoy a little bit of Paul and I's last conversation. All right, guys, late. So how you been?
Well, for my age, I guess I'm doing all right.
Well, hell, yeah, you're closer to 103 than 102.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing good. I'm glad to hear it. I hadn't talked to you in a while. It's funny because when we first talked, or when we did our interview, it was almost exactly a year ago. I remember it was right after Christmas.
It was?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem that long ago.
No, it goes fast. It goes really fast. Time flies. Somebody told me, see what you think. Somebody told me once that the older you get, the faster it goes.
It sure does. I have a weekly pill box. It seems like I fill it every day.
Now, if I remember right, you don't have to take too many pills.
No, I take 2 major pills. That's blood pressure and something else.
Do you take lisinopril? Is that the one you take for your blood pressure?
Yeah.
If I could go back, I'd like stock in GE, Apple, and lisinopril, because every patient I run on in the fire department, I swear, is taking some form of that lisinopril.
Yeah. A lot of people are taking it.
Yeah, a lot of blood pressure. Well, for being over 100, you're doing pretty good.
Oh yeah, I can't complain.
Now I just saw that Kirk Douglas turned 103.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Is he living?
Yeah, he's the actor.
Yeah.
Yep, he just turned 103.
That's the son, too, isn't it?
The son is, now you say that. Now I can't, I drew what is the son? The dad is...
Must be the father.
Yeah, Michael Douglas is the son. Kirk Douglas is the dad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was, here, let me see if I can pull it up. I think that was about a week ago, so you guys aren't too far apart here. Let me pull it up. Kirk Douglas. Yeah, age. And I did just see that. 103 on December 9th.
Oh.
And now his son is 75. Clint Eastwood is 89 years old. And he just made a movie. I just saw that where he made a movie of that bombing in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
You seen any movies lately?
No, I'm not a movie fan.
No?
Not a fan much of anything.
Well, you're a fan of sailing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're a fan of sailing and you're a fan of Chevy trucks.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you like. How's Doug?
He's just had an operation on his nose to see if he could breathe better.
Okay.
So he is not able to talk right now.
Now, did he come up for Thanksgiving? Did he visit?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, how about Christmas? Will he come up and visit for Christmas?
He says he will.
Okay, we might have to check in and have a little reunion and get both of you back on the horn.
Yeah. What have you been doing?
Well, I've got the 3 kids, so stay pretty busy with that. I like to hunt too, so I've been getting ready for a deer hunt that I have. Did you ever hunt much?
Not too much. I did a little hunting here.
Okay. Now, I bet there's pretty good hunting in Indiana.
Oh, yeah, it's good hunting in Indiana.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah,
in Michigan, when the hunting season opens on deer, 300,000 hunters go out.
Oh man, I bet the plant almost has to anticipate it from a staffing perspective of all the, okay, this week is the opening of hunting season, so who's going to call in sick or have vacation or do they just ramp everything down, making sure that they've got, availability for all the workers?
So where do you go then to hunt?
Well, in Arizona, there's all kinds. I'm going to hunt in what's called the high desert. So, you going back to the GM Proving Grounds, and then you remember the mountains that were in the back, the Superstition Mountains up in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some deer up in that area that I like to hunt.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they're called a whitetail, but they're not a Indiana or a big Michigan, Iowa style Wisconsin whitetail. They're a little small whitetail, and they look like a little, I don't know. I was kind of say they look like a Weimaraner dog, but they call them the ghost of the desert. They're little and they run around, and they sure are tasty if you can find one.
Yeah, we have a lot of deer right here where I live.
Really, in Georgia?
Yeah. Yeah, they have to hunt them once in a while to get the population down.
I bet. Is it thick? Is it pretty thick woods, or what's the kind of the topography?
Well, yeah, we have pretty good woods here. So the Georgia coastline is all pretty much woods.
Yeah, I wonder, did you ever fish much going out on maybe some company trips or anything? Some guys, I mean, more so than your yachting, your boating, did you ever do some fresh water fishing?
Yeah, I used to do a little fishing.
Yeah.
But I don't eat fish, so I'm allergic to fish.
Oh, I do remember you saying that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What about like a trout or something? Can you have that?
Well, I never try it because I'm afraid of it.
Yeah. I wonder.
I really get sick.
Yeah. How did you find out? Was it a tuna, or was it like some sort of shrimp?
No, well, it's primarily shellfish.
Yeah.
And it started when I was about 40 because I used to love shrimp. And I thought maybe I was drinking too much.
Yeah. Probably went there, depending on what the years were. And if she's, let's see, so Doug is 70, I think he's probably like 76, 77.
Yeah, she's 60. No, Doug is 70. So 71.
Okay,
Yeah.
so same as my mom. My mom graduated in she was born in 49. She graduated, my dad graduated in 69, and I think my mom graduated in like 67 or 68.
Jill's 65.
Okay, so she's probably class of 71 or 2 or 3, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, she definitely went to that same school because it's an older school, and pretty funny that what a small world that your daughter-in-law probably went to the same school where this gal, this teenager keeps having allergic reactions to school. So did you see anything about the E10 and what GM did with the electric truck?
No.
So they, for SEMA, Rich Downing and a guy named Russ, and I can't remember how to say his last name, but they got behind a truck and they did an electric truck, and they did an old C10. So they did a 1962 C10, and they made it, and I can send you some links and you can read up on it. But they made an electric truck. They used their Bolt motor, and they said they are using kind of some electric technology and motors that they're looking to offer as a crate motor that you can buy.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so they put it in a truck and built themselves a C10, but they called it the E10 because it was electric. And I'll tell you what, it was beautiful. It was kind of a burnt orange, and they used a long bed because they had to store all the batteries. And Rich said that they did 2 different trucks. They had kind of a mock-up truck and then the truck that they built. So I can send you some links on reading material, and then I can also send you the link on the interview that I interviewed both Rich and Russ from SEMA.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd like to hear it. What a fun deal. Those 2 guys have one of the, if not some of the best jobs at General Motors, because one guy gets to build really cool promotional show type vehicles, and another guy is one of the engineers for the performance motor, so anything motorized, he said he worked for their, I think anything bottom line top performance motor stuff that the guy Russ has been there and gets to play around with that stuff.
Yeah, they had one fellow that was all racing.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name now.
I can't even imagine trying to keep up with all that stuff, back then, versus even today, because one thing that was really impressive about Russ was, well, if you're doing, combustion motors and then just to switch over to electric, what a difference that would be from a learning curve.
Yeah.
But
you ever get a chance to talk to Eric?
Yeah. Only the time since you and I had our interview, but I haven't reached back out to him. I think he might have even switched roles. I should reach out to him and see how he's doing and see if he wants to just give us a little bit of an update, especially now because they kicked out the new trucks. The new 2019s and the 2020s are out, and I see a lot of them around here.
Is that right?
Yeah, we have we have a big truck market, obviously, in Phoenix, Arizona, and then there's a GMC dealership that does really well here, and I've been seeing them. Even today, I was out and about. Of course, I'm driving a 1969 C10, and all these guys around me are driving little hot rod, new trucks. And they're a lot bigger. They're a lot bigger than the old school truck, and maybe the bed's a little shorter, but they got a lot of cab room and a lot of the way I recognize it right away is just the wheel well is so different. The way they cut those wheel wells.
Yeah, I went to the dealers just recently to look at the big truck. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Oh, inside. They're fancy.
It's big.
Yeah, big, and the way that they do the windshield, and there's been a few guys that have tried to take C10 metal and then they put it around a newer style truck. For example, at SEMA this year, somebody did that with a 4-door Tahoe, and they made it look like a 67, 68 front, and then they kind of body molded and put that all around it. So I think the hard part is the way that the trucks are today, between your wheel well front and the door opening, so kind of the A post going down, that's really a skinny little section. But in the old trucks like the C10, the way that the dash was and whatnot, there's a lot more. You've got, I don't know, I haven't really measured it, but let's say that there's 8 to 10 inches, where on the new truck it's not that much. So when they have to metal shape that, they have to eat that up right there behind the wheel well. But it looks pretty cool. I'll send you some pictures if you want to see some of the newer trucks that they make them look like old vehicles.
Yeah.
A lot of work, a lot of labor.
Have you seen Musk?
Well, that was what I was going to ask you next. If you saw it, what you thought.
I saw a picture of it, but it doesn't appeal to me at all. But I guess it does to a lot of people.
I mean, it's unreal. It doesn't even look real. It looks fake. I think initially a lot of people thought it might be fake, and then there was a clip of him driving out of a restaurant lately, and he kind of ran over a little pylon. They made a way bigger deal of it than I think it really warrants. But man, I tell you what, if at anything at all, he's sure good at getting the media and just spurring up some buzz. Even if he doesn't even sell any of the trucks, it's going to draw people into Tesla itself.
I understand, though, he's got quite a few orders for it.
Well, my buddy, who's an engineer, he's a very, very smart engineer, and he works for Intel Corporation. And, he and I ran into one another the other day, and he said he's really debating it, thinking he for $40,000, $45,000. And then they did a price analysis to what is right now the number one selling truck, which is like a Ford F-150. They said that just a matter of time, when you factor in the oil changes and the fuel and so on and so forth, that truck outweighs it, outpays itself, tenfold.
Yeah.
Because of that, if you're going to get into it for 40, 45,000, the other thing he mentioned was there's probably going to be, depending on what state offers, but some rebates on those trucks as an electric, style truck. So if you're into it for 45,000, and let's say you get a $5,000, tax break, maybe it's a wash on the taxes, you're not paying a tax and you're getting a brand new truck for $40,000.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. I haven't ridden in one to know. One thing they said was obviously some of the blind spots, but that was again from the video of him kind of hitting a little pylon, leaving a restaurant, but I don't know. I mean, it's a big change. It's a big change for, I could tell you this. I'm assuming that if you're working at General Motors or you're working at Ford or any one of these big, companies, you're a little worried, or, you're definitely thinking of Elon Musk in the background, wondering what the hell is he going to do next?
He sure is a smart guy.
Yeah, he's a very smart guy. And it sounds like he's got, I see the cars driving around here quite a bit.
Yeah.
How about you? Do you see him out there?
Well, I don't get out very much, so I don't see him. A friend of mine has one.
Does he like it?
Oh, yeah, he loves it. And he lives further out in the woods than what I am. And he can get into the airport. That's where he has to get a recharge.
Yeah, obviously that's a big thing if you have a truck, if you take it out. Now, it sounds like you saw pictures, but they did a little video, and I'm making notes on all this stuff to make sure I send you. So I give you some stuff to watch here. So I'm going to send you the video. So here happens to be the notes on the guys. So it's Rich Downing, and I've talked to Rich. This is the GM guys that made the E10, and then Russ Obleens, Oblenes. So I just want to make sure I give him props. But Russ Obleens happened to have that right there. So I'm going to give you the Elon Musk video. Now, it ended up flopping. But one thing that he showed, because it flopped a little bit because they threw rocks at the truck, and the truck ended up having the windows broke or whatnot. But then they had a quad, a little, four-wheeler, and it was electric, and the guy drove the electric quad up into the truck, and the truck tailgate came down. And then inside the tailgate, a little retracting thing folded out, kind of laid out, and like ramps, and then went to the ground, and then the quad went up in there, and then they they lifted it up and they closed the tailgate, and now you've got an electric truck with electric quad, and you're going out to the dunes or the dirt or hunting. Who knows?
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Yeah, for sure. So what else is going on? The old trucks are staying popular. I'm still staying in business, so people are still buying the old trucks and fixing them up.
Yeah, that's the nice part about trucks. They become a good collector's item.
Yeah. You know what's getting really popular right now, Paul, is the next generation, which is the 88 to 98s. So then after your square bodies or your 1987 version, now the new version is starting to kind of get a little more popular.
I don't like everybody going to this huge, I can't think of the word now. What is it? Where the air comes in.
The big dash?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean up front?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because the intake on those things, like the trucks, are so big. The whole presence of it just looks like a big rig now, like a big rig back in the 70s and 80s. Because I guess, and the fire trucks is the same way. We used to have our fire hoses on the front, so they were really easy to get to. So we had what we call them a pre-connect, and they were on both left and right of the front, almost like a bumper, like a big bumper with fire hoses on it.
Yeah.
Well, they had to change that because they have to have so much airflow going in for the emissions is what it's boiling down to.
Where are your trucks built?
Well, the last phase we got are called Rosenbauer, and I think they're all, those are in Minnesota, I believe. We have some Pierces. Those are built in Appleton, Wisconsin, or Oshkosh, Wisconsin, Wisconsin. So we have some E1s, some Pierces, and then the last phase we just bought 3 new ladder trucks, and those are all Rosenbauers. They're not here yet. They'll be here 2020. We should have all 3 of them come in, be outfitted for work, and then send them on down the road or out into the streets.
When I used to drive down to visit Doug in Florida, I'd pass a place where they built fire trucks. That always had a lot of them in the lot there.
Do you remember what it was called?
No, I don't.
Yeah. I wonder, Florida's, they got a lot of fire departments and a lot of fire trucks, I think, in Florida. They've got a lot, more than I think about. There's small townships and small areas that they have there. Yeah. Maybe someday we'll have an electronic fire truck. Maybe Elon Musk will make us a electronic fire truck that we can just... Yeah. I'll be honest with you, the principle, besides being on a fire for a long time, if you could have a generator truck that could maybe plug in to our trucks on a fire, but for quick takeoff, and then a lot of times we leave the fire station fast, the turbo has to spool up, and who knows how long that takes. I mean, it does take a little while, and then we get going and we go to the emergency, and then we come back. So from the breakdown of a quick motor, like an electronic motor, because they just spool up so fast, we could get to the call real fast, get back and plug her in, get to the call, get back and plug in, because we're getting more medical calls than ever, than fires. But those big trucks work great, the big diesels, when we're on an actual fire, because the diesel runs forever and it doesn't get too hot. But we actually probably only get about 2 to 3 miles a gallon on the big truck I'm at.
Yeah, we get a fire truck in here about every other day.
Oh, I bet. Hey,
for fire, for emergency,
for medical.
Yeah.
Well, as long as they're not coming to see you, then I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
How's the Romeo guys doing?
Oh, pretty good. We meet every Wednesday.
Yeah, for the audience, if I do play this, the Romeo, I believe, let me see here, retired old men eating out.
Yeah.
That's a great one. See, I'm learning. I'm starting to remember all this stuff that you're telling me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice group of men.
Oh, yeah. It's now, I think you said there might have been like 12 of you?
Yeah, that's 12.
Okay. You guys are like the 12 apostles.
Well, that's all the table will hold.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of old movies, what do you think about this movie? Speaking of 12 individuals, if you will, what is it, 11 Angry People, 11 Angry Men? Have you ever seen that one?
No.
That's
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic. It's probably from the maybe the 40s or 50s.
That's the Jury?
That's the Jury. That's with I think Fonda.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a great show.
Yeah, that was a good show, yeah.
Somebody had recommended it to me, and I was like, oh, yeah. And then they kept on keeping on. And they're like, really, just sit down and watch it, and you'll enjoy it. And sure enough, I don't sit down and watch that many movies, but I'm glad that I watched that one. And that just shows you there's a lot more to the meets the eye and some of these different things. And if you remember, he had to persuade all those guys to change their mind.
Yeah. Well, I better hang up.
Okay. Well, what else are you going to do today? You got to eat dinner?
I'm going to take a little walk. Okay.
You're going to take a walk, and then it's probably about dinner time there, or did you already eat?
No, I eat at 5:30.
Okay. So what's about 5:15 now?
4:15.
Oh, we're only 2 hours. Okay, good. Wow,
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, let's touch base right after the holidays. If Doug comes up there, maybe the two of you will sit down and we'll catch up a little bit after the holidays.
Yeah, I'm hoping he'll be able to talk here in a couple of days, I think.
Okay. When do you expect him to come up?
Monday before Christmas.
Okay. Well, if you need anything or if you got time, I'll be around next week. Shout out, and then I'll touch base with you right after the holidays, and I hope you have a great Christmas.
Well, same to you, Ronnie.
You got it. Okay, have a good walk. Have a safe walk, and have a good dinner.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening, guys. Last call with Mr. Paul Hitch. Paul, rest easy. Rest in peace, my brother. Thank you for all that you've done for not only this country. He was a World War II vet serving in the Navy, General Motors, Chevrolet, C10 trucks, and I hope that you are driving around in a 1973 Chevy truck and Mildred's by your side. May you rest in peace.